Old friends are like old memories. They always remind you of your past, and we are reminding ourselves of the past episodes from this week of Good Company for the Best of Good Company with me, Hollie Taylor. I'm Hollie Taylor, and some really clever money-saving tips are starting to be talked more about, I guess, because we're looking to be, I want to say frugal, not cheap. Money is tight, and there's a lot of different ways of being able to cut back here and there where you kind of do feel cheap, but we're going to label it being frugal. For example, I like to grow my own herbs in the summer, and I probably should bring them indoors and keep them because fresh basil is so tasty, and yet you go to the store and you're paying a ton of money for organic herbs. And so if you can just grow them, they cost nothing for us. We're not like farmers where we have to buy them from an organization, and that's a whole thing. But growing your own tomatoes, easy to do. You can have a condo and still have a pot and grow tomatoes. You can grow strawberries, and that will save you the pain of going to the store and paying, what did I see the other day? It was like $10 for a quart of strawberries. I think they were organic, but even still, seeing it close to 10, I just was not okay with it. So this summer, I think maybe I need to be a bit more intentional about finding ways to grow those tomatoes, figure out if I can grow carrots. I've not yet been able to. They've been about 2 inches, which a meal does not make. But there are definitely things we can do to be creative, to save money, and ultimately to eat better. So if you've got some more frugal tips, we're going to focus on the frugal, not the cheap. I'm Hollie Taylor, and had a chance to go out and look for a new microwave. That's always fun. Said no one ever. I really feel like they just don't make them like they used to, and maybe that's a good thing, because I think the first microwaves were very heavy on the waves. I feel like they were pretty dangerous, and maybe not so dangerous anymore, but maybe that's just me. I don't know. They're smaller, they're lighter, they're more compact, but they just don't last as long. And apparently this is not just, my imagination. I watched a documentary about light bulbs, and they were saying, oh, these light bulbs, they last too long. And they came together as light bulb companies where, if your light bulb exceeded a certain time frame of it working, you would get dinged. So they had to make them less efficient. Why? I mean, think of the waste, not just in materials, but our hard-earned money. So life expectancy in this day and age, you can expect to get a dishwasher on average every 12 years. The low end is 9, high end is 16. That seems pretty decent. I think ours have lasted a while. Microwaves, anywhere between 5 to 10 years, so on average about 8. So just to keep in mind, especially if you've got a growing family or you're getting to that point where it's the 10-year mark in your home, you're thinking, am I going to need to budget for repairs? Well, for your compact refrigerators, yeah. They, on average, only last 8 years. So if you're in a place for 10, chances are you're going to need to get a new fridge, standard or compact. Washing machines, an average of 12 years. Although I've had a not good track record with washing machines. I had one last 4 years. It had just gone past its 3-year warranty or something like that. Oh, devastating. Anyway, expectancy, appliances, they don't make them like they used to. So I'm curious, do you have an appliance kicking around that just won't die? How long have you had it? We're talking about appliances that don't need to come back because, quite frankly, they haven't gone anywhere. They just seem to have a life expectancy beyond what we would have imagined. Like Tom texted in at 905-338-1250. And so I had to do a bit of a Google search to see if this was a decent time frame for his blender. He says it is a good 15 years. That seemed like a long time for me. So I did a little research. And yeah, currently blenders last anywhere between 5 to 10 years. So Tom, you got yourself a good blender there. Any other text messages coming on in, Producer Mike?
Yeah, we've got one here from Donna. She says she has a KitchenAid mixer.
Mm-hmm. Oh, those are gold.
Because it has to be at least 20 years old.
Yeah.
But those things, I've seen some from like the 40s. They really don't look like they've changed much in about 100 years.
No, they're so durable as well. Like, for me, it's an arm workout just to move KitchenAid mixer. Like, it's so heavy and solid. I love that feel. Like, it's never going to break. So hopefully, Donna, it doesn't break for you. I'm Hollie Taylor. I'm going through some of these unspoken social rules, and I don't know if they're uniquely Canadian or not. I think maybe they're just common decency, but again, maybe that's just because I'm here more frequently. If I went somewhere else, maybe then I would notice, oh, they don't do that here. For example, I'm getting gas. There's a big lineup. There's always a lineup, so you know where I'm going for gas. And the very front pump was open, but the other two blocked the view of the person in the front and the second person waiting and the third person waiting. So guy number 4 sees this open pump, and instead of just kind of like gently honking its horn or, whatever, instead of sitting there and waiting, he jumps queue and goes to the end of the pump. Well, that's not how we do it here. That for me is an unspoken social rule. And by here, I mean when you're waiting for gas for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. In this moment, yes, I was very frustrated, and it happened to me. Yeah, so not jumping queue or jumping the line. What about, and producer Mike, I don't know if this is just a thing from when I was younger. Is this still a thing, telling somebody bless you when they sneeze?
I don't know. I feel like it's polite. I don't know if it's a rule.
Yeah.
A
social rule.
Maybe it would have been a rule when I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
When you go to somebody's house, you say thank you for dinner.
Yeah.
And you say bless you when somebody sneezes.
Yeah.
Maybe these are good rules. Yeah.
I think that they're a social rule. I think also, too, in Canada, traditionally, maybe we were a little bit more polite.
I think so. I like to think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're in a lineup, not standing too close to people.
Yeah, I have noticed that.
Because it bugs me when someone's like right behind me, breathing down my neck.
Our personal space bubble is a little bigger in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have more room in the country to spread out.
So why are you so close to me? Please. I need some elbow space. I talk a lot with my arms. Oh, my goodness. All right. If you can think of any, you can always text in 905-338-1250. First, Neil says, don't talk during movies and don't spoil the ending. Yeah, I think that's just a given. And yet, people do it all the time. I'm Hollie Taylor, and I've heard of people dumpster diving for different kinds of, I don't know, sometimes you find tables or what have you, some very unique treasures. I once had a friend find a vacuum, and it worked for about 5 years. So I was pretty impressed with that particular find. And a lot of people will just leave things they don't want anymore curbside. Well, let's hop across the big pond. We're going to the land down under, Australia. And Sophie has discovered a new way to be able to keep her fridge stocked. And you're thinking, no, Hollie, don't say it. Don't do it. Yeah, I'm going to. She actually will go to the dumpsters behind supermarkets. And she says the amount of stuff that she has seen discarded has been overwhelming. Like, she can find juice and fresh produce, all kinds of food that these supermarkets were just discarding because it was the end of the day, and we've heard about this before. Now, here in Canada, I know a lot of these supermarkets will donate the food. But for her in Australia, it was just all going to waste. And although she didn't necessarily need to do this, she just found it as a very economic way of being able to keep food on her table for free. So I found this story really fascinating. Now, she did make a note saying you can't do this outside of restaurants or private homes because there could be rules for this. It could be illegal in some areas. I'm going to add, it also could be leading to some kind of weird tummy bug or something, especially with the restaurants. But for this, I don't know. I'm intrigued. And a lot of this stuff is packaged. So I don't know why they're throwing out so much stuff in Australia, but glad to hear that here there are different places like bakeries that donate all of this to food banks. And with all the food insecurities, that is definitely needed now more than ever. But kind of an interesting way to go grocery shopping. Yeah, jury is out on that one. Hollie Taylor here for Good Company. And I don't know if you follow the NFL. I don't really until this time of year because we got the Super Bowl next weekend. And then, of course, Super Bowl food However, I want to share with you a story of what happened in the game with the Ravens and the Bills. Now, as you know, the Bills were knocked out this past weekend. Kansas City Chiefs are the team going to that coveted game of the Super Bowl. But to get there, it meant that, unfortunately, a player had to make a mistake. So the Ravens possibly could have won with a 2-point conversion. The player, the running back who ran down, caught the ball. Mark Andrews drops the ball. Therefore, his Ravens do not win. Well, of course, people, unfortunately, were a little negative about this. He was receiving all kinds of nasty messages, and it's really sad to see that. Now, of course, the Bills super happy that he dropped the ball, and kind of as a way of thanking him, but supporting him against all the negativity, one of the members of their fan club, they call the Bills Mafia, actually started a GoFundMe campaign because Mark Andrews actually is playing football with type 1 diabetes, and he has a whole charity to support young kids with type 1 diabetes. And so they decided to create this GoFundMe to help support him and just combat the negativity. So they're like, hey, if we can raise $5,000, 2 thumbs up. Well, I just checked it, and so far this fundraiser is close to $145,000 raised, and it's growing. So it might have even changed by now and gone higher. So an incredible act of kindness and a silver lining to a very career-devastating moment for Mark. Well, that's a wrap. Those are our favorite memories from this past week. Join me for more Good Company live every weekday from 4:30 till 6 p.m. here on Joy Radio. Oh, and don't forget, you can also catch up by subscribing to our Joy Radio podcast. If you'd like to join in on the conversation, text 905-338-1250. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on Monday.